Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Se Impersonal, which should look sort of familiar to you, if not from class, then from kind of just seeing Spanish out there in the world. Um, I have an example sentence for you. This is one that I think that is really common, that probably a lot of you have seen out and about. Se habla español aquí. That's an example of the Se Impersonal right here. Se habla. Um, and that doesn't specify who speaks Spanish. It doesn't give us a person. It just simply would mean um, Spanish is spoken here. Okay, and that's the whole point of the same personal, that it communicates that something is done or has happened, but without specifying a person. Another example that you've maybe seen is in this one here. No se permite fumar. Um, so se permite is our say impersonal, and this sentence would mean like smoking is not permitted, basically. And we can kind of interpret, obviously, that it's us who are not permitted to smoke at this restaurant or whatever, but again, it doesn't specify a person. So there are a couple of rules, of course, for the say impersonal, and that is right down here. So this is the format of a sentence using the say impersonal. You're going to have say, obviously, and then a verb in the third person. And we're going to go on to talk about whether it's the third person singular or the third person plural. So you want to use the third person singular when you have um, an infinitive following the verb, when you have the word K following the verb, or when you have a singular noun. Okay, so some examples of that. Se prohíbe hablar por teléfono. Oops. And so that's just going to be like that talking on the phone is prohibited, like the movie theater, perhaps. And you'll see here that we have the infinitive following our verb, so we keep this then in the third person singular, prohíbe, right? All right. Another time that you want to keep the verb in the third person singular is when you have K in the sentence. An example would be se ve que esta ropa es de buena calidad. Se ve que esta ropa es de buena calidad. So, like, one sees that this clothing is of good quality. You can see that. One can see that. Again, without specifying who, it's just obvious to the eye that this clothing is of good quality. So we have ver, right? Ve in the singular, the third person singular form, because we have que. And then a third time that you are going to use the third person singular is when the verb is followed by a singular noun. So, for example, se vende pescado aquí. Fish is sold here. We don't know who sells the fish. It's really not important. What is important is that fish is sold here. So we have vende in the singular form, third person singular, because pescado is a singular noun. So far, so good. I hope so. Okay, so then when do we use the third person plural? Easy, just one time, and I'm sure you all can already guess when to use a third person plural. And if you guessed that it's when there is a plural noun, you are correct. Okay, example with a plural noun. Se venden zapatos aquí. Shoes are sold here. Easy enough. Zapatos is plural. It's our plural noun. So venden is in the third person plural. Okay? Um, so the biggest thing to remember here is just that you're not specifying a person. It's something that is done or has happened or is being done or whatever. So vamos a practicar un poquito. I have the verbs here, and then I have nouns and verbs and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and try to write these sentences. So vender and muchos libros. So we're going to look at this, right? Muchos libros. And go ahead and try to write that sentence out. So you're going to take vender and you are going to put it with the se. Okay, so put the se before it and then conjugate vender either in the third person singular or third person plural to agree then with muchos libros. And I will go over the answer with you in just 1 second. Okay, so you guys all identified muchos libros as a plural noun, I'm sure, which means you wrote se venden muchos libros. Okay, venden is in the third person plural because of muchos libros, right? The sentence in English would be like, many books are sold. By who? I don't know. Okay. What about comprar with comida en el mercado? Go ahead and try that one. Okay, so hopefully you identified comida as a singular noun, meaning if you go back up here, we know that that is going to require that we use a third person singular. So your sentence should say, se compra comida en el mercado. One buys food in the market, and compra singular, third person singular, because comida is singular. All right, and then go ahead and give this last one a shot. So you'll see here that I wrote decir que, so you make sure that you add that que in your sentence. All right, so I'm willing to bet that some of you looked at brujas and identified it as a plural noun. That's correct. It is a plural noun. However, it has nothing to do with this sentence. Why? Because what we have right after the verb is this que. And if we look at our notes, when you have que, right here, you have to use the third person singular. So your sentence should say, se dice que brujas viven aquí. It is said that witches live here. Who says that? I don't know. The people of the town, I guess. That's not important. The important fact is that witches live here, right? And we use the singular form here because of the que that immediately followed the verb. Okay, so I am hoping that this tutorial is sufficient enough to help you then with the worksheet that you have to complete for homework. If it is not, if watching this tutorial a couple of times is not beneficial and you are still confused, please, please, please message me, email me, whatever you need to do so that I can provide you with a little bit further instruction and help you. Okay?